Folks, you're with Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this radio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the methods, or some of the methods employed to achieve equality or equity. This is in the ideological sense. Everybody's the same, everybody's equal. That's equity. And if the outcomes are equal, then everybody is equal. So, in the name of equality and equity, why don't we just give everyone a PhD? Because that's like a super status symbol. If you're a PhD, then you're really clever, you're really brainy, you're really smart. So we'll give everyone a PhD so everyone can share in the prestige of being a PhD. I mean, like, wow, why didn't we think of this before? I mean, holy shit. Now, this is something that it's not simply the leftists that go for this, although they do. They always reach for this, and in order to do it, they have to remove and excise and eliminate merit from the equation, because you can't have equality if you have merit, because outcomes will then be different. Some people are harder working, some people are brighter, some people are simply more capable of concentrating, and so on. So you'll always have different outcomes in where merit's concerned. Now, merit is probably the one thing that brings the most equality to society. So merit is, in fact, the highest state of equality any society can achieve. That means the person who's the lowliest born, who was born into the poorest family or in the most wretched circumstances, by merit, can still achieve great things. I mean, it could be in business or in, academically, or in, I don't know, music, sport, or whatever. But by merit, they can still achieve. There's no bar to what they can achieve, assuming merit's in play. Now, if merit's not there, then the type of distribution of the goodies and the tokens and the gadgets, the sort of distribution occurred, such as giving PhDs and so on, that changes it to where people with the least or no ability, who don't give a fuck, who are not even going to try, they are still given the same rewards as other people. And if you get to the advanced stages of an equity agenda, as we are now in the West, where the most capable people are openly discriminated against, so that's when you know that we're in, or as Tim Pool, I was looking at a Tim Pool video earlier where he said, are we in a situation of controlled, in the West, of controlled demolition? And his video is actually worth looking at. I don't think I've ever seen him, Tim Pool, as more sort of pessimistic about the future should this controlled demolition thing continue. It turns out I more or less agree with him, by the way. I think we are I think the globalists are determined to demolish Western society and just turn it into a tax cattle sort of a place where tax cattle exist, and where they control all the monopolies and all the essentials of life, and all the people just just supply them, these rich elites, their wealth and their fine cuts of steak and private jets and so on. The rest of us again live like tax cattle. In order to do that, though, they have to crush Western society totally, which is where the controlled demolition comes in. But coming back to this giving trophies and smiley stamps and participation awards and these sorts of things. This is an attempt to create this equal society. In the view of the most starry-eyed Marxist, Marxist utopia, the fantasy world that these people exist in, this is a way to do it, and to do it quickly. I mean, the hard work and the heavy lifting of creating a more equitable society, that takes generations and a lot of hard work, a lot of focus. And these people always assume they don't have much time, so we've got to do it now. So they always run for the quick sugar hit type approach to doing things. Now, the mentality is one of the interesting, and this sort of came into my memory recently for two reasons. One, I was looking at one of the neighbours. Her daughter's doing some actually it's a business course, but where she's able to shoehorn in, or where the university lets her shoehorn in a large sociology type component to the business studies, which means, and there's no one fails the sociology component, it constitutes, I think, 75% of the total grade, then no matter how useless she is as a student on the business side of it, as no one fails the sociology thing, she can still get through. So even though it's a business course, it's shot through with things like race and gender equity and LGBTQ, and so how they can pass this off as a college course and not a piece of outrageous propaganda indoctrination is quite beyond me. But anyway, there you go. The parents don't seem to know. They don't seem to really care. I sort of mentioned this to them. Did you know that it's got all this gay lesbian propaganda crap? I didn't phrase it that way, by the way, but doesn't that concern you? No, who cares? Nothing to do with us. We don't care. So anyway, so the daughter was working on her exam, an essay for an exam paper, and these people don't know my views on this. I keep that to myself, and so they knew that I'm a good studious college boy and all that crap. So they asked would I help, and the daughter's struggling because she's a fucking moron, but anyway, so she sort of half finished the paper essay, so it was all mostly finished, really. So it was really a case of, editing it, I suppose, giving some advice, pulling out the red pen and this sort of thing. So so I looked at it, and it's an abominable piece of work. The idea she could already have done 2 years, or 3, I think it's 2 years so far of college, of university, and this is the state of the work that she's doing. It's like, okay, it was hard to believe. And not only was the work very sloppy, and she made no effort to nail down the facts and so on, no effort to study, no effort to do the hard work that you'd think would be a basic requirement. But it's not anymore. This girl wouldn't have made it out of junior high school. So she's been waved through, as so many of them are now, waved through into from junior high into senior high. So she's graduated there, graduated again out of senior high. In the real world, she never could have done that. And then she's been gifted an affirmative action place in college, only because she's a girl, not for any other reason. She's a white girl, by the way, but not for any other reason. So she's there, doesn't really care, never had to work for anything she's got. Lives with her parents to pay all the bills. She's got some part-time job for like 8 hours a week, and but that's it. And making no effort. Treats, just talking to her, she treats like even the idea of getting up in the morning as being a bit of a chore. Like I'm expected to actually do something. I mean, you got to be kidding. Why don't all you people fuck off and go? So she's got very much a don't care attitude. The only thing that seems to excite her is going shopping or going night clubbing with her girlfriends. That seems to be it. Nor is she a hot babe or anything. Far from it. She probably could do much better if she actually made an effort to watch her diet and do a bit of exercise, but even that seems too much for her. Nonetheless, so I looked at it and thought that the quality of the work is diabolical here. So I started making suggestions. You need to research this. That's not accurate. You need to do that, and get the dates and the times, and this is how this works. And look, you may want to make some notes here. I'll explain to you how this aspect is important, how it's relevant. Do you want to make some notes as I'm talking? There you go. Oh no, thank you. No. And while she was sort of grateful for the assistance, she was only grateful insofar as I would do the work for her rather than she would have to do the work. And I tried to explain to her that if she actually understood the course material and made an effort to do the reading and the heavy lifting, she would be able to come up with all the answers to these things and would be able to do a much better job in the essay. And regardless of whether or not she thought that effort may be worthwhile, I said, well, don't you want to hand in a good quality essay? Don't you want to know about the subject that you're covering? And yeah, I suppose, yeah. Oh well, I don't. Provided I don't have to go out of my way. Provided I don't have to do too much work. provided I don't have to make too much of an effort, yeah, I don't mind. So we talked about the idea of getting a degree and or a master's or a PhD for that matter. But once that came up, she's entitled to that as she sees it. But I don't have to do the work. Why should I have to do the work? Like just because some misogynist, just because of the patriarchy. So she's steeped in all this sort of stuff. So the mere idea of having to work hard or do an essay that's good quality work or that's factual or any of these things, that in itself is an expression of the patriarchy and misogyny, thus she is oppressed. So because of this oppression that she imagines and has been told about, and it's obviously all across the college campus, and all the lecturers are telling her that and so on, and she would see it all over the media and on social media. So she's still entitled to a degree as compensation for the evil fucking Nazi fascist misogynist. But the idea she has to do the work to earn it. To earn it? You think I have to earn this? You damn fucking fascist. So she just completely was, and looked at me as if I was a lunatic. But the mere idea of suggesting that she should have to earn it through hard work. So again, this idea of merit is considered. You talk about merit. You are Hitler. You are Hitler if you even mention the word merit. And even if you're not Hitler, you're a damn fucking misogynist, racist. So a member of the patriarchy and this sort of thing. So I'm thinking how fucked up this girl is, but how lazy. I mean, she's moronic anyway, but how lazy and how she doesn't give a shit. But she thinks she's entitled to a degree, and she thinks she's entitled to the prestige that comes with having a degree. So her view was, I should be given the degree because that puts me on equal footing with people who have worked hard and who have achieved it by merit, because I want to be viewed the same as the people who have done all that hard work and are that bright and so on. So if I'm equal to them, then I can have what they have. And if they have nice things, the house, the car, the whatever, I want that too. And if I have that degree, then I should have the same as them. They should have no more than I. So it's almost, well, not almost, it is quite communist in its attitude. Now, off that, I remember, for some reason, it just came to me. I've mentioned this before, that my folks were refurbing a house. So we went to live in an area where they could save a lot of money, where the rent was cheap and it was convenient for the dad getting to work, that sort of thing. So I ended up going to a school in the area, which was just on the other side of a lot of migrant hostels and a lot of government housing, that sort of thing. So it was a severe and sudden shock to the system to go to a school like that, and I was rather glad to leave it. But anyway, I was there for some months, and I was a pretty good student and everything, or at least I tried my best. There were plenty of guys brighter than me, but I used to always do well in the exams, and would always come in the first four of the kids, that sort of stuff, top 10 in the form, and so on. So the school thug came up to me once, and it was like a term exam that we were doing, and he came to me. He said, "Look, Billy Bob, I'm gonna sit next to you in this exam, and I'm going to copy your answers, and you're going to show me your answers. You're going to lift your paper up, put it at an angle where I can see it, and I'm going to put those answers on my paper because I said, well, why? Well, I want to pass. You always pass and come, first, second, or something like that, third with it. So I want to come first, second, or third. Now, this is a kid who regularly comes last or second last, that sort of thing. He's, I don't know if he was dyslexic or something like that. He was definitely moronic, and you could see even then he was a future prison inmate. He was like a trainee prison inmate, just his general behaviour. And what a thug and a goon he was. The police frequently came around to the school, and he was summoned to talk to the police and that sort of thing. So it gives you an idea. And this is like 11, 12 years old. And so anyway, he did that and did the and I'll beat you up if you don't go along with it, that sort of thing. He's a pretty big, menacing dude. He was huge for his age. Jesus. So that's what you want to do. Fine. I don't really care. But I remember trying to explain to him, and this again, I'm 11, 12 years old, I explained to him, look, if you actually do the work and do the study, the tests aren't really that hard, or they weren't for me, the tests aren't really that hard. So if you do the work and make sure you put in the time and you do the reading and pay attention in class and do your worksheets and that sort of thing, then you'll be able to pass as well without needing to cheat or threaten to murder your fellow students or something like that. And this kid used to walk around with a fucking flick knife at that age, by the way. So anyway, he dismissed that notion as being ridiculous. But I remember him saying, he said, no, I want to pass. Look, I want to come first, or come among the top group, but I don't want to have to do the work. I don't have to bother with all that nonsense. That's bullshit. Why would I want to have to bother with that? And again, he's the sort of kid that every sort of spare moment he had, he was hanging out around the pinball parlors and the pool halls and that sort of thing, and hanging out in the shopping centres, with a bunch of goons and hoodlums and that sort of thing. So the idea that he would say to the hoodlums, look, guys, you're going to have to play the pinball machines yourself today, or this week I'm going to study for the exam. That was a far from any reality he could conceive as anything. So he was down to doing that. Threatening his fellow students. The guy was even so dumb he couldn't even copy the answers from my papers. So he did, as I recall, he did manage to pass it, which shocked everybody. But he was still a good 20 or so marks, 30 marks behind me. But anyway, that was and that to me typifies the attitude and typifies the approach that all the special pleading groups have, whether they be black activists or any minority group. Look, we don't have to do the work. Just give us the fucking degree. That'll make us equal. That's all that matters. And this is something that the activist class and their allies in government and public service seem to have embraced, that's all that's needed. If we give everyone a PhD, everyone is then equal. Now, that in fact creates a very unequal society because there's no signals of reward for hard work or achievement. Now, I mentioned earlier that a merit system is one that creates that is the most equitable model of society you can possibly have. I want to say equitable in terms of wealth creating society. I don't mean like a bunch of hunter-gatherers where everything is shared, but where nobody owns anything. I don't mean that sort of society, because you could say that is equitable. No one owns anything and everyone shares everything. I mean, that's definitely equitable. But they have no wealth, and no one's prepared to invest in tomorrow or the day after. And so no, it sells society short. That's the way that societies that live like that never invented the wheel, and never got out of that subsistence, day-to-day, hand-to-mouth living. So if you want to create wealth and create, fine buildings and the roads and the medical facilities and all that sort of stuff, then you need to have a merit system, a system of merit, and reward for achievement in a merit system. So merit is the most, because that means that the best qualified, highest achieving, most capable people get to the top. Now, it's not a perfect system, but it means that most of the decisions that get made are decisions also based on merit, made by the most capable people. Thus, the bounty that's achieved in a merit system where most people, a majority or a much larger number of people, can share in that bounty. Does that mean everyone's going to be equal? Of course not. But it's going to create far more wealth and far more bounty, where far more people are able to participate and benefit from that bounty. You have to remember that the poorest people in the advanced Western societies are still infinitely better off than even any African tribesman would be, or third world average wage citizen would be. So that illustrates the difference between wealthy societies and what it takes to create a wealthy society. But we're going in reverse here in the West, where in the name of some fantasy of equity, we're actually going backwards. We're going back towards the subsistence tribesman and the one where everybody shares a rapidly diminishing pie. It's been fantastic today, your pushback channel, and thank you for listening.